Time After Time is a 1979 release sci-fi directed by Nicholas Meyer.
Yeah, it stars Malcolm McDowell as H.G. Wells, obviously the author of various sci-fi novels such as The Time Machine and
War of the Worlds.
That's it, yeah. And
Invisible Man.
Yeah, that one as well. Any more?
There are others.
Good. And so in the film, he not only does he write about a time machine, but he actually invents one as well. And the film starts with him having a gathering of his friends to show off this time machine. But at that time, he hasn't had the nerve to try it out yet. So he explains how it works and various foreshadowing devices that will come into play later on in the film. So yeah, before we see old HG and his mates, we witness a murder by Jack the Ripper. Well, who we assume is Jack the Ripper, who obviously was operating around this time. It's set in 1893. Well, the start of the film is anyway. And then we cut to this gathering, and then his doctor friend arrives, played by David Warner, and they have a little chat about his time machine, and then the police arrive, looking for Jack the Ripper, and this doctor's mysteriously disappeared.
He does.
And
vanishes.
And he's used the time machine to travel into the future. And they obviously they find his bag, and it's got a bloody glove and a knife and stuff in it, so they know that he's Jack the Ripper. So what does HG do? Jumps in his time machine and chases him into the future, or 1979, which is now 40 years ago. So it's not the future anymore.
Not at all, no.
But so as I mentioned earlier, there are devices on this time machine that there's a special key that if you don't put it in, it then it comes back to where it came from.
That's right.
So very conveniently, so then he can chase him back to where he's gone. He then has to chase Jack the Ripper, or John Leslie Stevenson, as his real name is. Doctor, yeah, he's a surgeon. As again, it sort of borrows from. They don't really know who Jack the Ripper is. Their theories, and one of the theories is that he was a surgeon. So it takes that theory and runs with it. And so he tries to find him, and the main way he does that is by going around banks to find where he's changed his money. I didn't quite understand how banks are going to take money from the late 19th century and say, yeah, I'll change it into dollars for you, no problem.
It's science fiction.
Yes.
You have to go with it.
So,
you also have to go with the fact that he doesn't just go into the future, he changes country.
Well, yes, there is that. That was like, what? I don't understand. But then I suppose because the time machine is in the museum in San Francisco,
obviously, yeah,
that's where he ends up. It's a bit weird.
It's a bit odd.
But yeah, again, you just got to go for it. And it's not, the reason is because it's an American film made for an American audience. So he's got to be in America.
This is true.
So, it kind of doubles down on the fish out of water. Not only is he obviously in a different time, but he's also in a different country.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, he goes to banks and he happens upon Mary Steenburgen in a very early role, who is a foreign currency exchange teller in the bank, and she says yes, a similar gentleman to yourself came in and changed some very old money, so he tracks Jack down, and then it's sort of a cat and mouse chase as he tries to stop Jack ripping, shall we say? Yeah, so it's a bit of a strange one. But you've got to kind of just go with it, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. You said, let's do this one. And I'd seen it about a month ago. I had never seen it before. And I saw it a month ago. I may have seen it when I was younger. I don't know. It's one of those films that... It's like one of those films you know about. I've read about it in the past. I'm a big H.G. Wells fan anyway. I love The Invisible Man and The Time Machine. I think The Invisible Man is an incredible book. And of course they have been made around over the years. Some of these films, obviously, there's the classic Invisible Man from the 30s, and War of the Worlds obviously has the famous film. Time Machine, it's been done a couple of times. It's never been that good.
No, there was one back in 2002 with Guy Pearce, which wasn't great.
Yeah, and that's the interesting one, because I think that one was directed by H.G. Wells' grandson.
Oh, right.
But it wasn't. It was a bit tacky, and there's an older version of it as well. I mean, yeah, obviously when you've got time travel films like Back to the Future out there, it's very hard to come close to doing something as great as that film is. But it's okay. It's a lot of fun. This film.
Yeah.
It's flawed. I mean, it feels dated. Obviously now it's 40 years ago. It's one of those films that feels like a 70s film. You know, it's got some dated stuff in there, but I thought it was a good, enjoyable film. Yeah. It's got some. I mean, it's Malcolm McDowell and David Warner. You know, they're two of our very interesting, I suppose, character actors. You know, Malcolm McDowell from Clockwork Orange and If, and films like that. Caligula. What do you mention Caligula for?
Because I think he did that not long before this.
Oh, right, okay.
So he wanted a little bit of a change of pace.
A big change of pace, actually.
Quite.
Yeah. So, have you seen Caligula?
No.
It's weird. If you don't know, Caligula's like got all these serious actors in, but then it's also a softcore porn movie, which they apparently didn't know they were filming or something like that. I don't know the whole story. So Caligula, yeah, Tank Girl. He turned up in the 90s.
And he was in a Star Trek movie, which of course Nicholas Meyer directed. Had a go at Star Trek.
Okay.
And he was Malcolm McDowell was the baddie in Star Trek Generations.
I did not know that.
One of the weaker entries, I would say,
like
but
Star Trek, so I probably will never come across that one. So yeah, and David Warner is again. David Warner is again one of our great. Both actors that kind of went off to America quite quickly and had big careers out there. But David Warner was in Straw Dogs over here back in the 70s, and then I suppose loads of films over the years. Titanic. Yeah, lots of stuff over the years. So, I mean, so they're both great, and they both play off each other really well. I think Malcolm McDowell as H.G. Wells is kind of like a genius casting. I think he does it really well. I think he has a lot of fun with it. And I think David Warner has a lot of fun as Jack the Ripper as well. I think it's really enjoyable.
So yeah, before they cast David Warner as John Leslie Stevenson or Jack the Ripper, the studio wanted Mick Jagger for some reason. Fortunately, Nicholas Meyer talked them round because I don't know how that would have worked.
Well,
really.
he was doing quite a lot in the 70s, wasn't he? And he'd come off Performance, so that was a few years earlier. Maybe
I just can't see him as being threatening, particularly.
No, I can't see it either. Actually, no.
Yeah, look at my knife. Something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking a similar thing, and I didn't obviously go there. My portrayal of Mick Jagger would have been not as good.
That's all I can picture, to be honest. Him strutting around.
Yeah, doing his
Mick Jagger thing.
Yeah, while offering prostitutes.
Yes, doesn't really. No, it doesn't really work for me.
Doesn't really work.
So
anyway,
lucky escape there, I think.
Very lucky.
Could have been a very different film.
It would have been a very different film. Yes. Great. And then, of course, you got Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah.
Not her first time travel. Well, yes, her first time travel film, but not her last time travel film. No. That's what I should have said. She, of course, turns up in Back to the Future 3. And in fact, did you notice that when he goes into the future, it's November the 5th?
Yeah, and that's the same day in Back to the Future. I don't know whether that's Back to the Future got that from time after time, or it's just coincidence, I don't know.
I mean, there's obviously also the whole scene in this when he has to explain to her that he's from the past, much like what Christopher Lloyd has to do with Mary Steenburgen, but the other way round. Yeah. I mean, it's very similar territory. So whether there's a bit of an inspiration on casting Mary Steenburgen in Back to the Future, who knows? I don't know. Can't answer.
I mean, they're almost quite similar characters in the way that she's quite a strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
Maybe more so in Back to the Future, I would say, but she in Time After Time she's a bit ditzy, but not she's not an idiot, and she holds her own, and she's sort
very
of
like that in Back to the Future 3 as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a huge amount to say about this film. I think a lot of people will have seen this film. I've read quite a few reviews on IMDb about and people seem to love it.
Yeah,
I totally go with it. I think it's also not. I mean, it kind of starts off quite light, but it obviously is about Jack the Ripper, so it is a dark subject matter in there. He's not someone you can really take too lightly because he was a horrific serial killer, and they do actually. I think I quite like where they go with Jack the Ripper in the modern world. Obviously, he's drawn to the kind of the seedy side of San Francisco. So of course, the scenes of him walking down, I suppose the whatever they call it in America, red light district, that kind of the old cinemas and seedy strip clubs and stuff like that. And of course, that's where he's
in his element.
In his element, exactly. But they don't. They can't. I mean, it's not too dark. It's not too heavy. It's not like a film like what's that other film? Like Hardcore. That George C. Scott film that came out about. Anyway, doesn't matter. But that is a heavy film featuring that kind of stuff. But so it doesn't obviously go there.
No.
But it does. It kind of veers on the edge of looking at the seedier side of life.
I mean, he also he mentions how he belongs there, doesn't he? Because obviously H.G. Wells says, I need to take you back. You don't belong here. Neither of us do, but he's like, yeah, I do, because this is at the start when he's with his with this group of friends and they're talking about going to the future. He thinks, it's going to be like a utopia in the future.
Exactly.
And of course, it isn't. He finds out there's been 2 world wars and all sorts of awful stuff going on. And Jack's like, yeah, it's great. I fit right in. You're the one who doesn't belong here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
so I think it's got an interesting conversation about obviously the world the world they were in then, and it's still in the same world now, pretty much. Well, obviously. I mean, we still sort of violent, gritty undercurrent that will always run through our world with all the lovely stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about now. But you know what I'm talking about. So, I think it's... I really enjoyed it when I saw it. I thought it was well put together. Yeah. Obviously, we have done another Nicholas Meyer film recently. Did we not do?
We did. We did Day After, yeah. Which is a few years after this. And I think this was his first, actually.
Right. Okay. It's quite a film to have for your first. Yeah. Done perfectly well.
So, obviously a little bit different in tone and subject matter to the Day After.
Very much so.
But no, it's just, it's sort of... it does have a dark side, but it is, quite light-hearted.
It's quite light-hearted, upbeat comedy kind of thing, and it's romance as well in there.
Yeah.
So
because of the age, it's a little bit cheesy from time to time. And the effect, the time machine looks pretty. It's no DeLorean, let's say. It looks pretty weird. They're of its time, and that's what they had available at the time.
And also I also thought, because of course, and this is the trouble with America, where every time America tries to do England especially in the past, so the opening scene is kind of set in the streets of London, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it reminded me of. So obviously you have all the prostitutes on the street, and it's dark, and the streets are all close together, and there's a few bars open, pubs open. There's a film, the John Landis film, Amazon Women on the Moon. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Which is basically a send up of American TV of the 50s and advertising. It's just like a big kind of film of skits stuck together. And there's a sequence in that, I can't remember exactly, but it's basically sending up Jack the Ripper, and I think Jack the Ripper's like, he comes in and he's like a big dinosaur. And it's this thing they're sending up. I think there's a show they had in America where it's like, there's one of those shows that kind of talks to you about things that happened in the past. Right. So you have a presenter and he comes on, and then Jack the Ripper kind of appears and he's this big kind of brontosaurus or something like that. It's very odd, but that kind of cheesy look at how they think London was. Yeah. That's what this one feels like. Obviously, it doesn't feel or look like London actually was in those times, and the dire Cockney accents that sound like they've just come out of Mary Poppins or something like that. That's kind of the only flaw with this film, but it's an American film at the end of the day, made in America. Although I did like when he comes into the museum, because so when he travels into the future, he's like, the time machine turns up in this museum in San Francisco, and there's a H.G. Wells exhibition. And I like the fact that they had clearly used pictures of maybe his house or where he lived and things like that, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah. Oh, and there's also in that scene Corey Feldman.
Oh yeah, Corey Feldman. Little Corey Feldman.
Very early role for him.
I think it may be in his first role ever.
It's definitely one of his first.
He did adverts and things like that around that time. Yeah, no, I forget. Yeah, that's yeah. So you can see this film. Obviously, we are going back 40 years, but we live in the world of Blu-ray and the internet, so it's fine to see. And it's had a recent
in the UK.
release.
Yeah, it was released in HMV's premium collection. Grab it while you can, because, well, as we're recording this, they're currently in administration. They're still going at the moment, but who knows how long they'll carry on, or if they will carry on, don't know. But
Who knows?
I guess they're not just going to chuck these in the bin, are they? If they shut, someone somewhere will sell them. But yeah, at the moment I picked it up for £2 for £15.
Is that specifically for HMV?
Yeah, you can only get this in HMV. Well,
Oh,
unless
okay.
of course you find one on eBay or something.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's got a nice slipcase. It's got some postcards and poster and stuff in there. So yeah, it's got a commentary on it and a trailer, and that's it. But
Right, but it does feature. I always liked that poster. I think I saw that. Obviously, I've seen the poster before I saw the film, and I always thought it was quite a strange, kind of abstract poster.
Yeah.
It's quite a good one. It's one of those. That poster to me feels like when you go into a record shop and you see a really kind of crazy record cover, and you're like, what is on that? And you buy it solely for the cover, and that's kind of film cover that I would probably go, yeah, that looks interesting. I'd go for that. So yeah, it looks nice,
Yeah.
and it looks good. Nice
yeah, it looks. Yeah,
part
the
of it.
picture's all good. Yeah, it's nice. Considering its age, it all looks fine. I think in the States it was released by Warner Archive, so yeah, easily available over there and probably pretty cheap as well. So yeah, not a hard film to track down if you want to watch it.
So that was Time After Time, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Yep, hit the subscribe button up there if you've liked what you've watched, and there's some other videos to check out over there. Come and join us on Twitter and Facebook, and come back next week for another video.